Welcome to my Java video series. Today I am going to continue my previous example and we are talking about inheritance and I am going to continue the previous example. So have a look at the previous example. So let's take a quick revision here. So we created earlier a class called animal. We provided a private property name, and we have got here two methods, eat and run methods. Now we created a child class here which is extending the animal, and we have provided one more method specific to the dog, so that is a bark method. Similarly, we provided a bite method to the cat. Now here we created a dog object and we called here three methods. Two methods are inherited from the parent class and one is a personal method added for the dog. And similarly, we have created here cat object and we are calling here these two methods which is inherited from the animal, and here this is a personal method we added for the cat. So this is what the program we have done in the previous case. Let me run this quickly. Okay, now have a look at this. When we are calling here eat and run method, we can see here null. So similarly, when the same job is done for the cat, we can see here null. Actually this null is printed from this name. So this is the property we are not initializing, we have not initialized it. So this is a property present in parent class. And now look at, observe this, we are creating here child object. So we created here dog object, we created here cat object. So dog and cat we have been creating, but we are not initializing, we are not creating object for the animal. So when you create the object for the animal, you can initialize this, but we are creating the object for the child class. And now the challenge is how to initialize parent class properties when you are creating the child class objects. So something we have to do which will supply the data from child class to the parent class, and that's what my agenda in this discussion. So now I'm going to use here single class for the demonstration purpose. So I'm going to, just a minute, let me create a copy for this project, just a moment. So this is the revision we have done. We understand the problem and I'm going to create a copy to understand this. So here we'll talk about the super keyword application. So I'm going to copy this project with new name. So super keyword is a solution which can help me to provide the data from which can provide data from child object to the parent object. So look at this. So here we talk about the super keyword. So as we have already done about the this keyword, similarly we have a super keyword. Super keyword is pointing to the parent reference from the child object, from the child class. So from the child you can communicate to the parent using this super. This is a connectivity. This super keyword will provide a connectivity from child to the parent. So now come to the example. I'm going to discuss this whole scenario with the help of this single one method will be enough and one property will be enough to discuss this, and one class is I think sufficient. So I'm going to remove here the additional part and I don't want to go through the cat. So I have removed here cat. Now it's a simple program. We have one parent class, we have got one dog as a child class, and we have one method here and one property. And one more thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to provide one more property for the dog, which is the integer age. I'm going to use here age. So this is the age property and I'm going to print here age. So this is age. I'm going to run the program through the specialization strategy. So now this is simplest program. When you run here, you will see here output. Look at the problem. Name is null and age is 0. So this is the name printed here. It is null because we are not initializing name till now, and here age is 0, and which is the default value for this integer data type. Okay, now my challenge is to initialize the name and age while creating the dog object. So I can follow two different techniques. Either I can provide a setter method, so I have two options here. So to initialize the parent members, I can go through two different strategy. One, either I can use public setter methods to initialize age and name. This is one idea. Similarly, we can, if you required, if you want to access the details from age and name, you can provide the getters. That is one idea. But for initialization, I can use the setter. Another way, I can provide a constructor. ठीक है ना? Provide a constructor to initialize properties. So name and age can be initialized through the constructor. So I'm going to use here constructor. So setter getter we have already discussed, but this is the time when I'm going to use here constructor, and I will link here super keyword with the constructor communication. Right, come to this point. Now I'm going to show you one small thing. Look at this. This is animal. I'm going to provide a constructor here. It's a public constructor which will be accessible anywhere. So this is the animal constructor. It's a default constructor from animal. And now look at this. I'm going to create one more constructor here. Sorry, I'm going to create here one more constructor in the child object. So this is my dog, and here dog will be created. Now look at this point, look at this line. Here I'm going to create the object for the dog. So when you create the dog, this is your default constructor, and this default constructor will be called. So this line should be printed there, right, according to the current whatever the things visible here right now. So this is the dog. We created the dog here, and this constructor will be called. This line will be printed here. Then these methods will be invoked. That's fine. Now try to run and check the output here. Look at this. I can see here something different. We are expecting here dog constructor, but we have got something else here. So parent constructor is also called here internally. Yes, this is the magic of this whole discussion. So when you are creating the object, for the child class, parent constructor is internally called. So how that is performed, how it is done? Actually there is one implicit call, super. So this call is hidden here, it is not visible, but this is present here, and this particular constructor is calling default constructor in parent object. So this is actually calling animals default constructor. So in every constructor there is one implicit call to the parent constructor. So calling constructor doesn't mean creating a new object, but there is a connectivity between child object and parent with the help of this super. So when you create child object, super will delegate call to the parent, and parent constructor can do some task here. So means the process is based on initializing the parent class members first, then child class. So actually the overall concept here about the initialization is always we should initialize the parent class properties, and that's why parent class constructor is called first. You can see the output here. Parent constructor is called first, then child, but actually in code I'm calling here child constructor. I have called here child constructor, so this is called, but from the first line it has delegated call to the parent. Means always parent properties should be initialized first, because when parent properties are initialized they have got the data, and now that data can be used by the child. But just imagine that parent member is not initialized with the data, and you are trying to access that data in child. When you have not provided data to the parent class, how you can access those properties to the child? So the rule is always initialize the parent properties first, which is done by the super. That's the reason this super will delegate the call to the parent, and then parent will do some initialization part, whatever the requirement based on your project. So parent will do the initialization first, then child job will be done. So child can use the data which is already set by the parent, so parent members can be used in child. So this is the overall procedure. That's the reason why super is internally available here. So this super will come call to the parent constructor, which will do some initialization part if required, and then child constructor, then the other job in this constructor will be done. So this is the process. Means this whole stuff is clearing that there is a connectivity between parent and child. So when there is a connectivity between parent and child, and we are able to call the parent constructor, means I can pass the data also. Now look at the another part. I'm going to provide here one more constructor. So here I'm going to provide a parameterized constructor which will accept here name. So I'm going to accept here name. This is parameterized constructor of the animal, which will receive here name, and then the name will be set to the name property. So this name, whatever the name you will supply here, will be given to the name property. Fine. Now come to the dog. I'm going to provide here a constructor. I'm going to provide here a constructor, parameterized constructor, public, and this is dog, and here I'm going to take two values, integer age and string name. Why I'm taking here two values? Because name, this age will be used by the dog, and this name will be given to the animal. Because just see, I'm not creating here animal object, I'm just creating dog object. So you are creating the dog object, but the data is supplied to two different properties. So here we'll pass two values to the dog. One will be given to the dog and another will be given to the animal. Now look at this. So this dot age, I'm going to set age. This age will be consumed in the dog, and we have to pass the uh, name to the parent class using this super call. So this super call will delegate call to the parent. So when you are not providing any argument here, it is calling default constructor, but when you are providing argument, it is calling parameterized constructor, calling animals parameterized constructor. So this line will pass name to here, and then this name will be given to this property. Now the whole stuff is ready. Now I'm going to put a separator here. So when you are calling this default constructor, this constructor will be called, then super will delegate call to default constructor, then this line will be printed. But we have not done any default initialization for this default case, so we are getting here null and 0. Just leave it as it is. So we'll use the parameterized constructor here. Now I'm going to create here another dog, dd equals to new dog, and here I'm going to pass here age will be 10 years and name will be Tommy. So this is how you can see. So this 10 will be the age, and here it will be received here age, and this age will be given to age property, which is this one. Okay, now this name will be given to the parent. So first using this super call, name will be initialized in parent class, then age will be initialized. Okay, So look at this. Now you can see all the details here. dd dot you can call here eat, and dd dot you can call here run. Sorry, it's a bark. You can try this. So after this separator, you can see here a constructor is called here. Parents constructor is called here, parameterized constructor animal, from the animal. And now you can see here animal eating, and I'm able to see here Tommy, and this is age 10. So this is how you can see. One more thing I have to add here. Now you can check the constructor call here. When it is called, I'm going to print a small message here. So it's a default, no default. It's a parameterized constructor is called in dog. So when you are calling here, practically I'm calling a single constructor here, but internally one constructor is calling to another constructor. Internally two constructors will be called through one constructor. So look at this. After separator, when you have used default constructor, we are getting here default values null and 0. And when you have when you are using parameterized constructor, I'm able to see here values. Both constructor is called, and name is initialized and age is initialized properly. So actually I'm creating dog object, but I'm initializing to the animals property as well as to the dogs property. From the single statement, you can, from a single constructor, you can give data to both properties. So this is how we can see. Now let me quickly draw this whole scenario through the small diagram. Let's have a look at the small workflow. So I'm going to show you a small thing here. Just a minute, just a moment. I'm going to quickly draw this. I'm going to discuss with the help of this single constructor, and no discussion on the eat method. We can do that. That's not the case. Okay, fine. This is your property. And now we have got here another class, child class. This is the dog, and this is the dog class. I'm going to create a child class here, which is your dog. And no need to, I'm not discussing this default constructor. I will discuss with the parameterized constructor only. Okay, fine. This is all set. And now you can have some code, additional code for the dog. And now look at the procedure. What I'm using here, I'm using here this code. This is very interesting. This is how we are calling here. So these two are the classes in parent-child relation. These two classes you can see here. This is parent class, this is child class. There is one inheritance in between these classes, right? Now when you are creating here object through the dogs parameterized constructor, which is taking two value, age and name, so it is calling to this. So it is calling to this, right? This is called here. Okay, now the data you given to age and name, age will be taken to the current object, but name, before that name is supplied to the parent object. So this is parent class receiving the name through this constructor. So this name is received here, and from the assignment operator this name is given to the property, and this dot name is representing to the property, means here the name is now given to the this property, and this is the procedure how this name is getting the data. Now once this job is done, the next line will be executed, which will initialize the age to the age property, and this is the age property in current object. So this dot age means, so this dot age means this one age, this age. So this is how the data is supplied from this single line to both properties. So this is the workflow. So what is the responsibility of the super here? Super is passing data from child object to the parent object. So super is used in different way. So here I'm using super to pass some data, to carry some data from child class to the parent class. So super will provide a connectivity between parent and child here. So this can also take some data, like I'm initializing here name, which is given to the parent class here. So super means it is pointing to the super reference, super class, like this. So this is enough for the current discussion. In next video we'll talk some more about the super keyword. Thank you very much for watching.